We're going to see some excerpts from an actual film recording of a panel discussion that took place at the 20th Annual Conference of the PRSA. It was an unrehearsed symposium entitled Public Relations Films for Television, School, and Theaters. The highlights you will be seeing, captured in simple black and white newsreel photography, feature 4 national authorities on the topic. Let's begin by introducing the moderator of the panel. Will A. Parker is president of Film Counselors Incorporated, the highly successful firm of film architects and designers which has served some of the nation's major companies and industry associations for over 21 years. He opened the discussion.
In this constantly changing world, we've seen methods of communicating with people go through many periods of evolution, all the way from the days of the town crier to the printing press, to our most recent method of communicating ideas, thoughts, and messages, television. Today, because of television, we're living in an age of visual communications. And just what is television? Well, what you see on the television screen, whether it is live, videotape, or film, is pictures and sounds presented electronically, or by definition, a motion picture. However, it's a strange paradox that the public relations profession whose function it is to communicate with people is not fully or effectively utilizing the vast opportunities available in the compelling and dramatic medium of motion pictures for business purposes. Of course, that's somewhat understandable because of the genesis of public relations itself. It's perfectly logical for people experienced in the printed word to think in terms of words rather than pictures. But in this age of visual communications, is that enough? Certainly it's not using the most modern methods in a modern age of modern media. Granted, our panel here prejudices its objectivity on the point. We all feel that motion pictures should be a full and equal partner with other media. But I think most people at this meeting would have to admit that such is not the case. While the intrinsic value of film as a communications tool should by now be quite fully appreciated, there's much evidence that it is not. You probably all know of the many scientific studies that have proven beyond any reasonable doubt the effectiveness of motion pictures. Yet when the subject of a public relations film is under consideration, it invariably ends up at the bottom of the totem pole of things we should do. How often we've heard, yes, it'd be nice to make a film if we could afford it, but we've more important fish to fry. Why is it then that this proven and powerful means of communications is apparently held so lowly in the eyes of management? Probably the major reason is that the film medium has not been presented or sold to management in a business-like manner. By that I mean not as a movie or as a work of art, but as a viable and valuable business investment on celluloid.
Thank you.
The first panelist was Romney Wheeler, formerly Director of International Television Services of the USIA. He is now Public Relations Director of Consumers Power Company, one of the nation's 10 largest utilities.
Now let's be realistic. There's no medium, absolutely no medium, which can reach vast numbers of people more quickly than television. Now let me remind you at this point of the term public service time. These 3 little words are enormously important, first to the station, secondly to the Federal Communications Commission, and because of this, thirdly to the sponsor of a business film. The Federal Communications Commission expects all stations to devote a certain portion of their airtime to non-commercial activities. Now bear in mind, in the United States alone, there were at last count 780 TV stations on the air. 98% of them say they are using business films regularly. Bear in mind also that 94% of all homes in the United States have TV sets, and there are nearly 56 million households looking at TV. So it doesn't require an electronic brain to tell us we have something pretty big going for us in business films for television. But there are a couple of caveats. Don't confuse publicity with public relations, and don't confuse publicity news clips with sponsored business films. In a nutshell, publicity is to public relations what publicity footage is to public relations films. And let me say as loudly as I know how, placing an occasional news clip on TV is not, I repeat, not using the film medium to tell your story on TV. My second caveat has to do with quality. Whatever else may be said about TV programming, it is produced with a high degree of professional excellence. Whether you or I like a program or not, you can bet your last nickel it is produced well technically. What's more, with an ever-increasing number of feature films coming on TV, the quality quotient is higher than ever. Well, what does this mean to the sponsor of a business film? It means quite simply that TV program managers are going to look for quality when they preview his film. It means that if his film gets on TV, the TV audience, unconsciously perhaps, but nevertheless quite definitely, will compare his product with the best that the networks in Hollywood are producing. I'd like to come back to what, after all, is the name of the game: circulation. A conservative number of telecasts for a good public relations film released nationally is 150 showings in a one-year period. On the average, that exposure will reach an estimated audience of 6 million viewers. Thank you.
The next panelist was Dr. Robert C. Lusk, who brings the halo of the academic world and the dollar sign of the business world into focus. He is Director of Educational Services for the Automobile Manufacturers Association. He spoke on films for schools.
Youth influence on behavior and purchases is well known. Its influence on a wide spectrum of other activities is growing. The youth idea market is open for those who are ready and able to do business there. There are 250,000 16-millimeter projectors in high schools alone. The rise in audiovisual expenditures in the last school year was 54% over the year before. When your film reaches school audiences, there's a vital person involved at many stages, including the actual seeing of the presentation, the teacher. If you don't think teachers have influence, try winning an argument with your own son or daughter and have the final words be, "But my teacher said so." It is unfortunate that the same group who condemn thoughtful industry participation in our schools also condemn the concepts held by many graduates and dropouts of these same schools. Such critics pretend that there's somewhere a golden curriculum in the sky, and if we would only follow this ideal, everything would return to an age that never existed. We know that textbooks are old when they are ordered and get older in a hurry. We know that the facts of production and careers and industrial processes and technological advances come best from us. And many schools know these sources to be vital to them, vital in the incredible job of making school half as exciting as the world. The world has outrun schools. Ever since advertising and television and sponsored school materials have come of age. It's a rough league today, this league of school-oriented curriculum materials. Whether you think that of 80 films used in a median school year, 3 out of 4 are sponsored, or that more new sponsored films are available each year than the total available just 20 years ago, or that there's a change in the high school audience of 25% each year, these facts add up to challenge. So there's a logical place for business materials and a real audience available. What else is new? Discrimination, that word of varied meanings, is new. The teacher who welcomed a black and white print left over from the advertising department's new product preview or the stockholder meeting film is long since gone. Teachers and students want information. They also want inspiration. What's more, they want it from the people who know about it. No longer are they happy about fuzzy intermediate sources. Both the workaday and the hoped-for day in American life are avenues for sponsored films. It's a privilege and a responsibility to aid teachers to interpret and students to understand our social and economic philosophy. By measuring up to the responsibility, we can ensure the privilege. Thank you.
The last panelist was Carl H. Lenz, who in 1964 was made President and Chief Executive Officer of Modern Talking Picture Service, the largest distributor of public relations films. He spoke about theatrical distribution.
Some 6 or 7 years ago, the entertainment segment of the motion picture industry adopted the slogan, "Movies are better than ever." In the minds of most industryites, this slogan also reflected a rebirth of their confidence in their business, for things were looking up. But those big budget productions, coupled with lucrative television, film shows for the networks and for the syndicators, caused a sizable production drop-off in theater shorts. The newsreels also faded into oblivion, bowing to the immediacy advantage of television. The continuation of this short subject product scarcity is the simple but obvious reason why the theater screen offers a rich opportunity for your PR film. Some 45 million to 50 million folks find their way to motion picture theaters weekly, just about 25% of our total population. So it is truly a big opportunity. There is still another plus exclusive to theatrical circulation, and that's the environmental advantages. Recognize that it's the ultimate in film viewing. Comfortable seats, skilled projection service that gives clear, sharp focus, and usually superb sound. Add to this the big screen, and you have the Tiffany in motion picture presentation. These favorable conditions can't help but contribute to the receptivity and the retention of your film's message. And on the subject of the film message, let's point up a few guidelines that will help maximize your message opportunity. First and foremost is your need to come up with a film of top professional quality. After all, it will be playing on the same screen with feature productions that probably cost millions. Remember that your picture should be entertaining. And by this, we do not necessarily mean amusing. An informative treatment qualifies. Let's assume it is your PR film that is booked to complete the program. With 40 minutes open, your short will run 4 times if it is 9 to 10 minutes long. But if it is 20 minutes in length, it will hit the screen but twice. Because it's a fresh new audience viewing each feature presentation during the afternoon and evening hours, the repeat showing of your short is being seen by a fresh new audience, all to your advantage. Thank you.
After the speakers had covered in much more detail, of course, films for television, schools, and theaters, the moderator summed up.
Our panelists have discussed 3 specific audiences. You're undoubtedly aware of the other established avenues of film circulation, such as community audiences, including opinion leader groups like chambers of commerce, rotaries, lions, and so forth, as well as churches. Then, of course, there are the increasing opportunities available through industrial plant screenings for employees during recreation periods, lunch hours, and so forth. Also, the resort audience circuit is another way to obtain big audiences during the summer months with the same release prints that might sit idle during vacation periods. Then there are the college campus and airport cinemas. The professional film distribution companies are constantly exploring new methods of reaching new audiences, and some of the innovations on the drawing boards have great potential.
We hope these filmed highlights about one of the tools of public relations have been of some value to you and will help all of us do a better job in presenting the messages of our companies and clients to the public. Thank you.